Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the Four Seasons? Do you want to be the Hilton? Do you want to be the, Star Six Motel? Just decide who you want to be, and then those particular staff and patients will gravitate towards that.
Welcome to the Crow's Nest podcast, the official podcast of Candace Crowe Design. I'm Candace Crowe. Today's guest is Catherine Maley. Catherine has been referred to as the secret behind the successful cosmetic surgery practice and the go-to expert when you need more patients, conversions, and profits. Catherine has 5 key takeaways in order to grow your practice and find revenue. So be sure to listen to the end. Welcome to our podcast, Catherine. I'm so excited to have you. I've known you probably 20 years, and you are a staple in the industry. You're known for your business savvy, in my opinion. You really enjoy helping practices find value, save time, get to the point. You're a very get to the point person. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. And thank you so much, Candace, for having me. You were like totally a pioneer for me. You were somebody kind of like me, like a consultant in this industry. You got there first. And I've watched you forever. And I think because you really have to understand, how do you work with surgeons? It's a niche market with very specific needs and wants and desires and egos. And so I really appreciate you helping me gravitate towards, or like navigate through this group.
Well,
Uh,
it's good there's both of us, because I really tend to be on the artsy side and you really are on the number side. You are dead on that. And then, like you've been doing podcasts for 5 years. You got what, 2,000 or something like
oh,
that?
no. It's more like 270. Yeah.
200. Well, I just put an extra zero. See, you're the numbers. I'm the creative. Add a zero. No,
Just
just
one a week, every week.
one a
And
week.
that's the secret: consistency. Anybody who thinks they want to start a podcast, really think about that before you jump in. As you know, Candace, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that has to happen, a lot of technology, a lot of coordinating with surgeons who are super busy, because I interview surgeons. So there has been nothing easy about this podcast, but it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know the surgeons much deeper than normal, because they really share how they did it. How do they grow a practice? Because they're all in their own silos. Surgeons don't get out much unless they're at a marketing meeting or at a conference, but then they're all like one-upping each other kind of thing. You need the real hallway huddle kind of talk. And that's kind of what my podcast is. It's more like
Hallway
the
huddle. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
the hallway chit
I got
chat.
to write that down.
Right? Because it's about, seriously, how do you do it? And give me the backstory. The doctors always want to know, how is he doing that? Like, and is it as easy as it looks? And you know as well as I do, nothing is as easy as it looks, you know?
No, and you can't just be copycat either, because everybody's different. So it's really interesting working with surgeons. It definitely totally is. But you've out of all of those podcasts, you kind of reviewed all of them and you kind of just come up with what, 5 traits
Mhm, mhm.
that make the greats great. Not reading the book Great to Great or whatever that book
It's
is,
called
but
Good to Great. And when I was getting my MBA, it's a master's in business administration. That Good to Great book is a big deal in the curriculum. And so we went through that book a lot in detail. However, Good to Great in their world meant the Fortune 100 companies. So they were, in those days, I was thinking corporate. And I don't think corporate at all anymore.
no.
Corporate is a whole different animal. And the doctors, if you learn business concepts from the big boys, like the big universities, you're in trouble. I got the real education came from internet marketing conferences, entrepreneurial masterminds. I have spent a fortune learning, how do you do a solo practice? How do you attract patients, convert them, retain them? How do you run smooth processes? Because every practice, they're basically a startup. They just start from thin air, and you have to figure out, how do you grow this thing? And there's so many nuances to it. So that's where I got my education. And quite frankly, a lot of the surgeons that I talk to on the podcast, a lot of them now do what I do. You know, they buy books, they attend seminars, they really have taken on that task of, I'm not just a surgeon. I'm a marketer, even if they want to be or not. You're a marketer, you're the front man, you know, you're the face of the practice. You're the content creator, you're the visionary. There's nothing easy about what they're trying to do. So I'm here to help.
Right. Nothing easy about that. And the personalities are so perfectionistic that, they're so hard on themselves. And like you said, they are in silos. And so sometimes I'll get calls from doctors that, like they're geniuses, but they may be crying because they don't know how to like do a Zoom call or, update a blog or read their analytics or something that, it's not in their tool house. But, and then you tell them that you're not alone. That's, like you're, and then you kind of support them and guide them and teach them, and then they feel pretty comfortable. And I think that's what you do a lot in your webinars and one-on-one with them. You try to give them value of actually how to do it.
Candace, one of the issues is the doctors have a tendency to be perfectionists and they want to control everything. And one thing I have learned is they have to stay open-minded to all sorts of things and be adaptable to change. So they have to let go of some of this control because they don't know what they don't know and they can't know everything. When they became a surgeon, for heaven's sakes, it took them, what, 14 years to become a surgeon? That's insane. But while they were doing that, some of us were in, grad school, trying to figure out the business and marketing side of this. And that's why they should really work together with somebody who can help them with the business and marketing side. That person doesn't have the emotion in it that the surgeon does. And they often make way too many decisions based on emotion or anecdotal, or their competitive nature says, if he can do it, I can do it. But you don't know the nuances behind what that other person is doing to get those results. For example, they will call me constantly and say, why is this guy so busy? Like, why is he so busy and I'm not? And I say, because you're not spending 20 to 40,000 a month on ads. You don't have a call center that they have set up. They're willing to go through the hassle of going through 100 leads to get to the 5 that are good. There's so much that happens to make things happen. Nothing is happening by mistake. There's a cause and effect to everything. So that's what I do. I take a look at their practice. What assets do they already have that are working? That's my thing. Let's just start with what's working and double down on that. Let's not keep creating all this new stuff that they get bored of, or they don't get a result fast enough, so they quit and they want to do something else. We have to stop that. A real good practice has this standard of excellence. They have decided ahead of time what's their vision, what do they want this practice to be like. Then they tell the staff what that vision is, and they tell them that regularly, not once, but regularly. Now they set up a plan to make that happen. So that's not just a marketing plan, that's a processes plan. This is how we do it here in our practice. And the secret is, and then you live up to that plan. You don't keep fiddling with it. You don't get bored and change it. It's the fundamentals every day, inside and out, day after day, month after month, year after year. You build on it rather than jump in with all these shiny objects or panic. The summer happens and everyone panics and they say, I'm going to try this new thing. Please, for the love of God, think that through first. Is that going to be a help, or is it going to be a distraction and get you off course? So my recommendation is, I'll say 70% of what you do should be fundamentals. This is everything, the foundation of the practice. This is how we do it. Have a portion to like your creative side, or that side that you just can't help yourself. You just love the shiny object. Maybe 5 to 10% of your revenues or your resources or your time or your staff's time goes into something fun that's, you don't know about, but at least that kind of scratches the itch, but let the fundamentals build that practice for you.
Absolutely. I kind of want to bring out this point too, that I was listening to Simon Sinek this
Yeah.
morning, and he was talking about, branding, and if, he says Hilton doesn't have a brand, that you could pretty much just slap a logo on, a nice hotel and call it a Hilton, and it's a Hilton.
Mhm.
But if Nike were to have a hotel, you would know what that hotel looks like.
Mhm.
And you were speaking about, wanting to know what other plastic surgeons are doing and making processes. And that I feel like those processes need to be heartfelt. They need to be your own personal brand, not the brand of somebody down the street, but to really be able to attract patients. It needs to have that authenticity of who they really are, who they really want to serve. And he also made a comment that that type of marketing generates more mm,
Quantity of leads.
quantity, but also at the price that you want it to be. So, like, if you don't really have a brand, you'll put hotel into, the search engine, and you can pick 5 different hotels and you go on price.
Mhm.
But when you have a Nike brand, let's say it's a Nike hotel, they go to the Nike hotel because they like the Nike brand. What do you think about that? Mm.
There's also a nuance to that. Not everybody is going to be the Four Seasons. You have to decide right from the get-go, who
Mhm.
do you want to be? Because you can say you want to be the Four Seasons, but you won't spend the money, time, and effort to make it that way. So
Mhm.
everyone should get very clear about who they're going to be in this marketplace. How do
Mhm.
they want to be seen? How do
Mhm.
they want patients to react to them? And what kind of patients do they want? It
Mhm.
doesn't happen by accident. When you have a facial, let's say a facial plastic surgeon whose facelifts start at 100K, that didn't happen by magic. He put his whole life and career and soul into becoming the best at like a deep plane facelift, let's say.
Mhm.
There's a lot to that. Are you willing to pay that price to be that brand? And
Mhm.
frankly, we're not Coca-Cola here. You don't need the whole world to know you. You know who you need to know? The patients that you love working with, who want the procedures you love doing. So
Absolutely.
everybody wants to be everything to everybody. I'll take any patient I can get. That's not the way to play this game in today's world. It's too crowded. It's too cluttered. The patients are too confused. I love when a doctor gets real clear, but this usually takes some maturity, but they get real clear. They want tummy tucks from a female 30 to 50. You know
Yeah.
why I love that patient? Because I call it the long tail patient.
Yeah.
Those patients have a pain point. The younger patients are not that much in pain. I mean, they don't have any wrinkles and wear and tear yet. They have a crooked nose, maybe, or a small breast, but it's a different kind of emotional patient. We want the one that's in pain. They want back what they lost. It's affecting their self esteem, their confidence, their marriage, their whatever. That's some really good That's a good pain point. You have a nice, and there's a whole bunch of them because so many people have babies, and it wreaks havoc on their body. If you honed in on that and say, you know what, we're going to put our time, money, and effort into that. The rest is gravy, but we're not going to focus on the rest. We're going to focus here. It changes everything. It changes the staff gets used to the talking about it. The doctor gets used to talking about it. He has so much experience with it. You collect way more before and after photos. You get way more patient testimonials and reviews from it. And the best part is mommies hang around together. So that one mommy tummy tuck can easily become 3 to 10 more, because if you encourage them, they will refer their friends, share you on social media, mention you in their Facebook mommy group. And it's such a good you turn that one patient into like the unpaid sales ambassador. That's smart marketing. I call that smarketing, by the way. I heard that on the internet. I thought that was so brilliant, smarketing. And that's how you really do it. And then you become the tummy tuck guy. That's,
I love
you know.
that. So let's just recap just a little bit before we move forward. I want to move into um, the five things that we intended to talk about, but
Okay.
kind of went over, a practice and the skill sets and who they are and who their target audience is, and don't be a copycat practice. Really find what works for you, and don't be afraid to please go get some business advice, some marketing advice. Don't just check one person, but go ahead and check a lot, get educated. I love it when clients come to us and we just recently had this example. Oh, we need a new website. We we don't care about SEO. We're in a small town.
Mm,
We have 130 pages. But so I encourage them to go check around. They go to 5 different web companies, and they find out that they do need SEO, and that about 40 of their pages are actually things that they don't do anymore, and it's like, okay, this education was amazing. Then they come back and we have a real conversation.
yeah.
So don't be afraid. All of us want to help you, and we want you to end up where with the best fit with your vendors. I I can't tell you, when a vendor and a relationship is in sync, we
Mhm.
can do so much good for a practice. When we're adverse with met with,
Mhm.
skepticism or adversity, it's really hard to help somebody. If you don't believe that we can help you, it's really, we're going to be sabotaged from the get-go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's one of my characteristics is the mindset of the surgeon.
yeah,
And we all know people who have that fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. The
yeah,
fixed mindset is pessimistic,
yeah,
skeptical.
yeah,
Um, they don't trust you because they've been burned in the past. I
yeah.
totally get that, but that attitude, you're just going to attract another company that you don't like or trust. So you're much better off growing that growth mindset. The growth mindset, the difference is a fixed mindset says, I've never done that before and I can't do it. A growth mindset says, you know what? I've never done it before, but I could figure it out. I could also develop a relationship with and use your gut, like talk to the vendors and work with the ones that you trust. I mean, and frankly, the vendors, it's half of that is their problem. I have spent my whole career giving away free content for 24 years now. That's how I do it. I want you to trust me and I want you to know I know what I'm talking about. That's such a better relationship. When I get a phone call, it's a different phone call. They're saying to me, God, Catherine, I have followed you for years. I really, thanks so much for the information. That's not a sales call. Now we're having a relationship call. We're trying to figure out how can we work together now to get you from good to great. I don't have to sell anybody, and I won't. I came from sales. For many years, I cold called. 15 years, I cold called for corporate, and that's not the way to live. And it's not fun for either the salesperson or the surgeon. So the surgeons need to open their minds, know what they don't know, but they've got to trust somebody. But trust people you feel good about. If you have a funny feeling about it, then move on and work with someone else.
You
Yeah.
know, we can wiggle waggle just a little bit with that, but right now there's so much pressure on staff to convert
Mm,
leads to patients, and I feel it. I just read a survey, and for someone that was doing a course, and almost 70% of the questions were about closing or objections. And you brought up a really, really good point, is you give information away. You want them to come to you instead of, oh, you got to buy this, and I'm so good and I'm so great and the doctor's so great. And it's that relationship marketing that I firmly believe in. Maybe you can speak on that just a little bit, because they're paid by commission. A lot of them, and once commission kind of you and I've been here long enough. We know a day that they didn't get paid by commission. It was different. You
mhm.
know, now they get a commission. It's changed. It's changed the whole way.
Well, actually, not everybody. Some do get a commission and others don't. They just are paid this hourly rate. And then the doctor also wants them to answer calls over or after hours. And I say, you can't have it both ways. You personally, if you have the right person, because I don't care what you want to call this, it's a sales position. You are asking a total stranger to give you 10 thousands of dollars over everyone else. And you're not just competing with another surgeon, you're competing with the family vacation, the house, the renovation, all of that. There's only so much disposable income. So this is a super emotional sale, not just logically, but it's also emotional, it's physical, it's psychological, it's relational. So I actually have a converting academy where I teach sales training to coordinators, because you have got to be professionally trained to get that patient to a yes. And there's nothing easy about it. But of course, how do I do it? Education. That patient needs to show up educated and loving you.
Empowered.
Was that?
Empowered.
Because you can't get a patient to say yes if they're confused or skeptical, just like you are with salespeople, or distrusting, or something's not right. That's why I always say, let's have a structure where that patient shows up saying, oh my God, I feel like I know you. Like the doctor's almost got celebrity status, because you've set the foundation to get to a yes much more comfortably.
Absolutely. I always, it's not just the money, Catherine, and you know this. Women are telling, usually, like 80% of them are men. One of their deepest insecurities about the way they look. And not only that, they're getting naked in front of them. I
Yep.
mean, what can be more intimidating than that?
How awkward is that whole thing?
How
Yeah.
awkward is that whole thing? Exactly. So I like to kind of compare it to women going to the powder room. If you approach it kind of like that, like, oh, that looks great on your eyes. That eyeshadow is perfect for the color of your eyes. Or, I forgot my blush today.
Mhm.
Kind of, could I borrow yours? Or, yeah, like, and that's actually happened to me. I was given a lecture and I forgot my makeup, and somebody loaned me their makeup in the powder room, right?
Yep. I've done it
Or,
twice. Yep. I
yeah,
forget my
or,
makeup. I can't imagine. Yes.
or like, what is this? I've never felt an implant. I've never seen a scar, or, what are all those female to female kind of things that, help you feel very, very comfortable. Um,
Well, and in addition to that, the surgeon really needs to think about the state of mind for the patient. I had a surgeon who I said, what is going on? Your conversion rate, what is happening? And when I dissect things, it turns out he would have 2 or 3 fellows in the room for the consult. And I said, so there's 4 men in the room and the woman has to get naked? Are you kidding me? Like, you don't think there's an issue there? And he said, no, I don't see what the big deal is. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
FYI.
yeah, that's so interesting, and it's so why women are so necessary. Our point of view is it's just necessary. So we've talked a little bit about a growth mindset, treating staff and vendors as assets, not liabilities.
Here's the thing about staff, because it has become a very big deal after COVID. It is just universal. Something happened. They're no longer working for you. You're working for them. There's a completely different turnaround. I used to do an awful lot of HR placement. I have decided I'm out of that game. Um, I I'm just going to say that something happened,
Yeah.
and uh, it's very difficult to find a team member who wants to be a team member, who wants to go with the flow, who wants to be open-minded and learn and grow. It has not been easy to find those people like it used to be, I'll just say. And then you say, back to the growth mindset, do I push my way through this, or as a surgeon, do I figure out how to fix this and get the right team in place? Because the right team in place is everything. So one thing is the surgeon's attitude. And this is so difficult because the surgeon's been through so much to get where they are. They feel like this team should just do what he tells them to do, support him, be 2 steps ahead of him so he doesn't have to ask, where's the stuff, where's the paperwork, blah, blah, blah. That I understand that's frustrating, but that just tells you, wait a second, we need to rethink this whole thing. And I say it starts way at the beginning when you're hiring. First, you have to decide what your vision is. Who are we? If we're going to be the best, then we have to hire people who also want to be the best. So in that case, when we have that kind of guy, like the lion in the jungle who wants to conquer the world, then I want to hire people who were competitive in school, who loves the challenge of that, who also likes to get paid on productivity more than just a salary, because I want them to be so confident that they'll go above and beyond what's expected of them. I'll tell you what has also been very helpful, and I don't know if it's my own, it's just what I have learned is when they have no challenges, when I'm interviewing people, like, what's your biggest challenge? If their biggest challenge was getting into one school versus another, a high-end school, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, there were some big problems as like in a childhood, like they had to really handle things, or their mother was suddenly single and now there's one parent in the home, and the person had to really grow up and take responsibility. I'm finding that way too many people are showing up entitled, and they're like, what can you do for me today? How many, like when I'm interviewing somebody and I go through this whole thing and I say, so do you have any questions for me? And what's the first thing they say? I'm sorry, what are the hours? And what were those benefits? And I thought, first of all, it's in the ad, so I don't know why you're asking me that. But if that's the only thing you're talking about is what can I get out of this job, it's just not the right person. So please slow down, hire slowly, and do it in multiple points of contact. I start with a text to see if they'll text me back. Then I do just a quick phone call to see if they show up on time. Then I do a Zoom call to then look at how we looking, do they own the part? Because some of them, wow, it's times have changed. Tattoos are in, piercings are in. Wow, like it just casual dress seems, so you have to just see, is that going to represent my premier practice that I'm trying to build here? Anyway, and then have them come in, and then definitely have them shadow for a day. Let them meet the rest of the staff. Always let your staff give their 2 cents on this. Never let a staff person inherit somebody you decided on. That's just the kiss of death. Then you're not being a team player yourself. You have to get the staff involved. Is this a good fit for you girls that are going to have to work with her every day, kind of thing? So there's just a lot you can do up front to avoid making a bad mistake that ends up costing you so much drama and grief and bad mojo.
That is such great advice. Catherine, it seems like sometimes in our position, we're kind of coaches or psychiatrists, even a little bit.
Yep.
You're just kind of helping them find their feet,
Yep.
find out who they are. And when you really know who you are, that's your brand, and you can hire the right people a lot better that way.
Mhm.
So you also mentioned you want to invest in things that save time.
You cannot save your way to success. And that's such an issue for surgeons, for everybody, anybody who runs a business. We all are trying to cut costs, but we do it at the detriment of the bigger picture. So surgeons do it all the time. They learn SEO, they,
or, or my son has a girlfriend that creates websites.
Mhm.
I hear that one a lot too.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've always got a son. Their son's now 22, and he's going to do the website. Okay. They study, the SEO component. They also like to do their own before and after photos. They like to write their own copy. They think they're copywriters. All of that is just silly. I know they like to do that, and I know they think they're good at it, but frankly, you get somebody who really knows what they're doing, huge difference. So did you save money or did you lose money because the product that you came up with is never gonna, first of all, Google's not gonna love it. And then will the patients love it? Because we're always trying to accommodate, Google first, but then you've got to accommodate the patient. The website, I swear, these websites are all about the surgeon. If you could just start thinking more like a patient, what does the patient want? Give that to them first, and then talk about how great you are. But I know that's difficult. They want to do both. I'm just saying the patient wants to hear about what can you do for me, just like the staff. What can you do for me? And then And then and then tell me how great you are, you know?
I'm hearing a common theme as we talk. And I was listening to NPR the other day, and there was somebody on that was speaking about memories and what you remember.
Mm.
And the bottom line is you remember what you think about.
Mhm.
So if we can give them something to think about, like, the next time you go to your office, pretend you're in high heels. And just go through the experience of being a consult.
Mhm.
Go sit in the waiting room. I mean, you've heard this from other consultants before, but
Mhm.
do the work and think about it.
Mhm.
Think about it. All right. So then we talked a little bit about technology and saving money. Now, let's talk about community and the joy of giving and the joy of receiving, and how that can get woven into a practice and how it might help that, not just the community at large, but the community of employees.
Well, I'll tell you, in the podcast, the most successful surgeons, every practice that was known as a top practice had a give back or some kind of pro bono effort in their built into their practice. It was a given. It wasn't and it came from the heart. So quite a few surgeons do go on mission there, go on missions, I think they're called, or they give back to groups in the community. Here's my take on that. If you could get your team together and brainstorm, team, what do we care most about? Get the team involved because we're going to need them on board for this pro bono because not everyone's going to get commission on this kind of thing, but we need their help. And it's really good social media to show that you're involved with the community. Now, I know facial plastic surgeons, they get involved in domestic violence groups. My issue there is it's so negative. I don't love that one. So I like cats and dogs, and kids, or like go clean up the neighborhood or something. But if you can get the whole team involved, like team, who do we want to help here? God knows there are a bunch of people that need help. So who do we want to help? I like it local because then you can turn it into social media content. You have somebody following you around doing what you're doing to help the community. It's just good for everybody. It's really good team building as well. When your team is on board and that's what Simon Sinek says. What's your why? It's so helpful when you all have like either a common enemy or a common cause. So
Absolutely. And I like also adding some physical activity to it because it changes the dynamics. And if you do anything and just get up and move, you're going to get dopamine and you're going to be in a better state of
mm,
mind. And state of mind is everything, showing up at work in a good state of mind. So one suggestion I like is, work an aid station at, one of the city 5Ks or marathons or something like that. Just all work an aid station together or something like that. But Catherine, I'll bet you have a million ideas. We'll put some ideas in the show notes below. We're running a little bit long, so I want to zip through a couple things. You want to consider the whole person, not just the family. I mean, the whole person, but the whole family even.
mhm.
Talk a little on that.
The surgical patient, you mean?
Yeah, patience for life concept.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I always have been a huge believer in, um, you can play the one and done game like surgeons love to do. They just do the one and done. And that used to work out just beautifully when there were only a few of you. Now it's so darn competitive. You will run out of time, money, and energy trying to do one and done nowadays. I really think it's gotten too complicated, too expensive, too technical. I think you really need to be patience for life. That's another mindset shift, patience for life, but the right patience for life. You don't need everybody in there. Every year, if you just did surgery, for example, a typical practice, if you just did 250 surgeries on tummy tuck patients, 30 to 50, I promise you that will grow and grow because it's a flywheel. At that point, that one becomes her friend is 2, becomes 4 because they're all referring and chit-chatting with each other, becomes 16. It goes on and on exponentially because you're not starting over constantly. You're actually building an asset. That's how you do it. But on the other side, some of the surgeons say, but not everybody wants surgery, and I'm trying to catch them early. So they offer a lot of non-surgical. I totally agree, but make it make sense. For example, let's say you brought in fat reduction, non-surgical fat reduction. That would make sense because that patient who wants that, like the 30 to 50, there's a good chance she needs more than just, lipo. She needs a tummy tuck or more extensive work done. That would make sense. But you know what happens? The doctors go to a meeting and they're talked into some weird like vein removal thing, or some like hair thing, like hair for men. Why would you go off on that tangent? Like, just stay on the road of the patient that you want. So catch that patient on the way up to surgery and then on the way back down. So what I would do is have that machine, the non-surgical, have that discussion. I think when you're ready, let's do surgery. And then when we're done with surgery, let's do some lymphatic massage. You can have a gift card to our spa for a little Botox, little filler, because now you're feeling good about yourself and you're thinking, the patient's thinking, what else can I do? That would it's just so much smarter than trying to be all over the place.
Absolutely. Well, we're probably going to call this, come it to a close here. And I can tell just how passionate you are and how much knowledge you have, Catherine, and how much you like to share. So, listeners, she has a ton of archived podcasts you can learn from. What would be the best way they contact you, Catherine?
Everything's at catherinemaley.com. It sounds like the Catherine Maley show, but the whole thing is over 500 blog posts, lots of information there, over 270 podcasts, over probably 500 videos on YouTube. So there's plenty there. Everything I know is there. It's just, it would take you a long time to get through all of that. So that's why I do consulting. I can really hone in on just your particular practice and tell you where you're losing money and how
And
quickly we could fix that.
yeah, and tell us about your packages that you have, or how do they get engage you?
Yeah, really. I offer a complimentary consultation. So just go to catherinemaley.com and just give me a day and time to meet you, and I will give you a call and we'll talk about what do you think you need. And then I'll learn more and then I'll give you some ideas.
So let me encourage every single person that listens to that to go to catherinemaley.com and sign up for that free consultation. I'm telling you, it'll be worth it. Really mean that from all my heart. So with that, we're going to go call it close to this podcast, and I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as Catherine and I have enjoyed talking with each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much.